Good, very early morning, and welcome to NASA's latest attempt at showing the world how not to launch a moon rocket. So we're going to see how this develops, but as predicted, we have more hydrogen leak issues and the culprit appears to be the ground systems. Although the latest update appears to suggest that that they've managed to fix the problem. They're a go for continuing with fueling or resuming fueling. I guess at both stages is the most recent thing I heard, but that was all in my ear just seconds ago. So yeah, that's where we are. Fun stuff. Glad to have you here with me. Fun stuff, maybe because sometimes I find this stuff amusing, although I'm sure lots of other people don't. Again, to clarify my position, I definitely want to see this damn thing launch. But at the same time, there's got to come a point where you just kind of smile at all this crap and say, yeah, kind of figured this was coming. But who knows? Maybe they can patch things up. Well, I guess it isn't tonight yet, Eastern Standard Time. It's still very, very late at night there. It is 4:30 here in the United Kingdom. Where's everybody checking in from? I would be delighted to see what everybody's doing. We have 150 people already checking in. Really do appreciate that. Somebody from Michigan, it looks like. Thanks very much. So yeah, in theory, if it were to, the launch window begins in about 2.5 hours. Are they asking about me in other streams? Yeah. Frankly, I wasn't going to come online unnecessarily if they were to scrub this thing early. I was going to decide to come online pretty much when we were a little closer to the launch window. New Zealand, New York, Missouri, Newfoundland, Nashville. Wow, my God. Charlotte, Texas. Hello, everyone. Australia, New Zealand, or I think I already mentioned that. Manitoba, Tampa, Ohio, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Texas, Kansas, Wisconsin, San Diego, South Central Nebraska, Oklahoma, Canada. Wow, guys. Again, New York, Nashville, Tennessee, Arkansas. Yeah, crazy stuff that everybody's. Thank you so much, BJ. Really do appreciate you jumping on board with some support right off the bat. Very nice of you. South Dakota, South Carolina, Wyoming, New South Wales. I'm in your Discord channel. Hello. I appreciate that. Thanks for, again, like I say, anybody who wants to check in Discord certainly can, although man, lots of people here right now. Seattle, Knoxville, Tennessee, Wisconsin. I'm glad you watched Ellie in Space. Anybody who didn't watch Ellie in Space, please subscribe to her channel. That was a great experience indeed. I guess we're going to start doing podcasts, she and I, on a regular basis. Indiana, again, Texas, Florida, Illinois, Brisbane, New Jersey, South Dakota, Seaside, California, New Hampshire, again, California, Antarctica, just kidding, Seattle, Louisville, Kentucky. Wow, that is amazing indeed. So yeah, you guys are awesome. Really do appreciate that. So yeah, appreciate everybody checking in. And yeah, we are in the midst of dealing with this craziness and continuing to check in with updates from NASA Artemis and NASA ground systems, etc. I would say NASA ground systems is probably one of our most reliable sources of information right now, just because they're the most likely to give us accurate stuff. So the Red Crew team has completed their work, and they are in the replenish mode for the core stage liquid hydrogen. Team is working on resuming flow to the upper stage, but right, there's a range violation because of communications of some kind. So yeah, they're not ready to go at the same time, though. I would assume that range communications is an issue that can be fixed fairly easily. Who knows though? Nothing seems to be easy with this damn rocket. But that is what is what is happening right now. Is of course predictably another hydrogen leak, and yeah, an hour and 30 minutes before the launch window opens. I do also hope that she goes tonight. That would be a good thing indeed. Yeah, I was listening to a little bit of the commentary that somebody talking about an astronaut talking about experiences, how brilliant and amazing the moon looks in orbit because there's no atmosphere in the way, and the commentator's like, oh, as if, wow, you just told me something new. There's no atmosphere in space. I mean, come on, jeez Louise. One would assume that the commentator knows these things, and they're just, I don't know, trying to put on show for us. I have no idea. Thank you so much. Let's see. Crypto stocks or whatever. Appreciate your support. Thanks very much. Let's see. Yeah, they definitely have good looking good looking people representing NASA at the moment. That kind of, I guess, is an understandable thing. We still have people checking in Louisiana and Netherlands. Hello, everybody. Yeah, next launch window 2027. Yeah, that's entirely possible. Thank you so much, Saturn V. Awesome. Like I say, these are the sorts of things that allow me to continue doing the sorts of work that I'm doing over here. And by the way, very exciting stuff coming up for me later today, assuming that Artemis launches, which it probably won't, but if it does, then I'm going to go to Goon Hilly, where they're going to be tracking and communicating with the CubeSats on the ICPS. There's, of course, as most of you probably know, a secondary mission involved with this program, where they're going to be dispatching 10 CubeSats with various purposes to the moon, and Goon Hilly is assigned with tracking them and maintaining communications with these satellites. And I am going to be there at 3 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to talk to the folks at Goon Hilly who are talking to these satellites, or to these probes that NASA is sending. Pretty exciting stuff. And once again, Goon Hilly is not part of the NASA Deep Space Network. It is a private deep space communications center here in the United Kingdom. Their customers include, not officially, but include people like SpaceX and Starlink. They, once again, I know that simply because of research I did. They didn't tell me that Starlink is their customer, but they do have Starlink facilities and equipment on their site. So yeah, neat stuff indeed. So yeah, if this thing launches, and God, I hope it does, I'll have a pretty unique opportunity to go to this facility. Very few people get to do that, and talk to the people who are going to be communicating with all of these satellites, getting the first telemetry and information. And these are not just, communications specialists. These are people who also understand the missions that these various probes are on. So that means I'm going to be getting really up-to-date information on how this secondary mission is going. Again, pretty exciting stuff. I'm hoping to bring this stuff to you live. I don't know if I'll be able to bring it to you live or not, but either way, assuming that Artemis launches, which is a big assumption, but if it does launch, then that means you'll be getting a new title called Tracking Artemis later today. So very excited about that. Yeah, duct tape. Maybe they can spit on it a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, the red team was there tightening bolts on valves and things. From my understanding, once again, more valve issues. Boeing seems to have all kinds of. Of course, this isn't a Boeing issue though. This is a launch tower issue with the three various contractors. I can't even remember their names. It's in the NASA Office of Inspector General report. But these three inept contractors who work together to create this piece of garbage. And yeah, it's annoying to say the least. Yeah, not a big fan. Super glue. There we go. Very expensive love hate relationship. Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Well, The tattoo, well, we had a 14 engine static fire, so that's kind of cool. So Starship is taking steps forward. We'll see. I think that it's still months away. Months away. I still think that they have stuff to do. And also, really, I don't see how they can risk lighting 33 engines with the concrete right underneath the rocket. I mean, we saw the visual evidence of concrete rain that came down as a result of that. With 33 engines, that's going to stir up even more debris with the potential of damaging the rocket before it can even get off the pad. Doesn't seem like a good plan to me, but once again, I'm not the expert, so maybe they can make this work. It seems to me they need to build a flame trench for that thing. I think we saw some very evident visual evidence that they need a flame trench at Boca Chica. But very cool. Those 14 engines seem to work very well, and it's beyond impressive. And I can't wait to see it in person. Matt, thank you so much for the €5. No atmosphere in space. They can't hear NASA scream. Yes, that's a good point. In space, no one can hear NASA scream. Thank God. Actually, maybe we should hear them scream in frustration a little bit more. Yeah, Starship does indeed have a lot more static fires than ULA. You tend to, I mean, ULA will have one static fire on those two BE4 engines, assuming they actually work properly. And they have been tested to failure, both of them, and are flight certified. I wouldn't trust Blue Origin on that, but ULA is the one who reviewed them for flight certification. I think they know their engines, so I think there's a really good chance that Vulcan will, light a static fire in mid-February and get off the ground without any significant problems, assuming we get to that point. I think the only thing that's holding them up for the most part really is the fact that they need to suddenly deploy Kuiper satellites. That's added a lot of complexity to that mission. So that could be a real easy. Will Bill Nelson need a hat if this doesn't happen? He should. He definitely should. So yeah. SpaceX won the Artemis 4 mission. Yes, that is indeed true. Artemis 4 is going to have a landing, at least projected to have a landing on the surface of the moon, and SpaceX will be providing the HLS for that mission, at least currently, depending on the progress of Starship. If it takes a lot longer to develop it than anticipated, there could be some other competition there, but it's very unlikely. I would think that Starship is going to do that job. Looks like Starship had a frost line almost halfway up the stack earlier, did they? That's interesting. Maybe they're going to be doing some more stuff today. Tried to take the attention off of NASA for a minute. That would be interesting, but of course, it's going to happen in the dead of night. Matthew Peck, hello, welcome to the Angry Advocates. We'll make sure that we post a way for you to become part of our Discord server. And thanks so much for your support. Really appreciate you jumping on board. We got 233 people watching. Wow, you guys are the best. Thank you very much, Wesley. Thank you so much for the generous support. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Once again, to emphasize, if it wasn't for these super chats and the PayPal and the Patreon support that I've received from you guys, I simply could not be sitting here. That would not have happened to you kids. I would have had to go home a month ago and not have secured all three of those interviews with the UK Space Agency and the Space Guard Center, learning more about the danger of near-Earth objects to our planet. God, so much stuff that I got a chance to do because you guys kept me here. Really do appreciate that. New slogan for SLS Wood, RUD. Yeah, that would be a new slogan for them. Prediction was true. Yeah, Terry. I wish I was wrong, to be honest, but in all fairness, that was not a hard prediction to make. It really wasn't. If you've read that report from the Office of Inspector General on Mobile Launch Tower 1, it's shocking that it works at all. It really is. That is the most messed up thing that NASA has ever been involved in. It is absolutely pathetic. Blue Origin delivered 2B4 engines. They're not completely assembled or tested. Had to complete the assembly or testing. That's true, Michael. But still, they are installed on the rocket currently. They have been flight certified at this point. They've gone through their paces. I feel very confident about those engines. Not because of Blue Origin, I don't feel any sense of confidence with them. I feel confidence that Tory Bruno knows that those are solid engines. I really think that he knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't put untried or untested engines on Vulcan Centaur. But who knows? He's certainly not incapable of error. So yeah, it could still have a disaster, no question. Am I going to go to Boca Chica to see the static fire? Probably not, because I'm going to see the actual launch. I'll be going to Rocket Ranch to see the actual orbital attempt. So then that's when I'll be checking that out. 276 people online. Thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate you tuning in to the channel. If Artemis went to RUD shutting down the program, would it be for the greater good? No, it wouldn't, Johnny's. I really don't think so. I think if we shut down Artemis 1 completely, the government's willingness to invest anything in space would evaporate. We would no longer be trying to go to the moon at all. SpaceX would have to fund that completely on their own. And I'm really not sure if Elon's going to be in a great position to be doing that, to take on the process of trying to explore the solar system by himself, given his recent Twitter endeavors. That is something that has costed him a huge amount of money, but also a huge amount of time and focus. I really don't see how he can do this on his own, or Gwen Shotwell, for that matter, can do that entirely on their own. We still need NASA involved at this, at least at the moment. Yeah, 4:45 a.m. must be mental. I know how you feel. The Starship will replace SLS with the next few years. Yes, Ty, I think it eventually will. But there's still a number of things that need to happen. First of all, they're going to have to figure out a way for Starship to get humans off the planet without those humans being on the ship to begin with. NASA will never launch human beings on Starship without an abort system. So they'll have to do a rendezvous with Crew Dragon and all that in orbit. All of that process will have to be hammered out before they go for that. So currently, no, we're not really go for launch, but we are resuming the fueling process. Once again, going back to NASA ground systems real quick, just to see what we got going on. NASA ground systems, 14 minutes, completed their work at the pad, back in replenish stage for core stage liquid hydrogen. Team is resuming flow to the upper stage. It's going. Kind of shocking, but it is going. Very interesting. So it appears that we are moving forward with this process. Ian, thank you so much. Following up on John's question, at what point would NASA decide to shut down Artemis? Ian, first of all, thank you so much for the support. And I think that a lot of things could cause the government to shut down Artemis, to be honest, if they see NASA foundering. In other words, if this test doesn't get off the ground, or if it's a miserable failure, I think that puts Artemis in significant danger. I think that if we keep spending lots of money without an immediate result, I think that puts Artemis in a lot of danger. Artemis is a very, very vulnerable program because of the expense. SLS is just so crazily expensive that it's making it, I think it's difficult to sustain it. And, the Office of Inspector General said that too. They called SLS an unsustainable launch system. Administrator Nelson told me that position would change once we start making lots of SLS rockets, or several of them at a time, or whatever. The cost would drop off. Who knows? But right now, according to the OIG, this is an unsustainable launch system cost-wise, and that's not good. It's not good to plan your return to the moon around a launch system that is unsustainable from a cost perspective. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening to that. Once again, it appears that we have the leak rectified at the moment. It appears that that's been handled. What are we looking at? That's okay. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about. Okay, some sort of animated thing. I'm sorry that attracted my attention for a moment. Not sure what was going on there. Maybe that's they're trying to depict the only way that astronauts are actually going back to the moon is it has to be done, in a cartoon or something like that. That's as real as it's ever going to get. Yeah, $2.5 billion. That's actually minimum. Necron Assassin. In many ways, there's a lot of other estimates that suggest it'll cost more than $2.5 billion to launch this every time. It's not a good thing indeed. Artemis would be different if we had the old slide rule and calculators. Yeah, Jason, I think you're right. Back in the day of slide rules, NASA did a hell of a job. They accomplished everything, and they accomplished it in half the time that SLS has been in development hell. Pretty amazing, and they did it all with brand technology too, a brand new rocket, whereas this is all operating off of well understood, tried and true technology. So NASA had the advantage of not having to reinvent much for this mission, and yet it's still taken them twice as long. It's very upsetting indeed. Problem with range asset reported, yeah, communications or something like that. Range communications, I think we're down. I think that's just a temporary thing, though. I don't foresee that being an issue. ETA, Peter, once again, the launch window opens up in just over an hour. And I don't think they can fuel it up in that time. But the launch window, I don't know what is the current launch window. I actually haven't seen that. Yeah, Necron, you're right. Actually, in those days when I reported on that, I've learned more since then. But yeah, you're right, Necron. $2.5 billion is I think the official number, but I've read some other reports since then that suggest that it's even more. Morgan, thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, I and it was fun talking to Ellie. And yeah, this experience here in Europe has been truly special. And God, I hope Artemis does take off, because if it does, I'm going to have a really unique opportunity today to go to where the cubesats for this mission are being tracked and communicated with here in Britain at the Goonhilly Earth Station. That will be a fantastic experience to say the least. Lunar Gateway is still in development. Yes, it is. They're designing and building the modules for it right now. I don't like who they chose. They have Northrop Grumman building the Halo module. But nevertheless, they do have it under construction. And then the power and propulsion element, or PPE, is being built and designed by Maxar, if memory serves me correctly. And that is an ion drive that they're using for that instead of conventional thrust, in order to so that the fuel lasts longer, so that Lunar Gateway can reposition itself into new orbital trajectories, so that it can deploy missions down to various locations on the moon a little bit easier. So you can have HLS dock with the gateway. The gateway repositions itself into a different orbital trajectory. Again, not hugely different, but different in order to have the HLS. So HLS will have an easier time setting down on the moon. Basically already fueled up, really, Necron. That may be the case. Once again, I only just got into this, so yeah, if it's already fueled up, then that's interesting. I think that we could have some exciting stuff coming up real soon. Like I say, I tried to catch a few hours of sleep before I engaged in this process here early in the morning in Cornwall. So in any event, we'll see what is it. First stage fully fueled, second stage in process. Thank you, Andrew. Really do appreciate that. So cryotechs, okay. Boosters are the scare here. They've been stacked way over their time limit. I do agree with you, Mel. I agree with you completely. I think it's a really serious problem. The SRBs have been stacked more than a year past their design limitations. A lot of people say that it's not a big issue, that we had ICBMs stored, in similar kind of situations, solid propellant stored vertically in their silos for many years, and they were able to function. The SRBs kind of work on the same principle. But then again, these things are much, much bigger. So I don't know. I'm not certain what the deal is. The Red Crew, brave as hell. Yeah, Necron, I agree with you. They are brave. To go out there to that much flammable liquid, that much unstable crap that they got to go up to be around, climbing up to the top of this massive skyscraper thing. I mean, it's essentially working on a skyscraper that's loaded with flammable / explosive material. That takes some serious guts indeed. Will it launch? The narrow majority says that it will not. 341 votes. Wow, we had a lot of people online aside from the 284 who are currently watching. I really do appreciate you guys watching. By the way, please like, please subscribe. Trying very hard to get to that 100K, almost to 90,000 currently. I'm very excited about that indeed. Thank you so much. Really to appreciate that. Recon, I'll just call it, or Dimes Recon. Skepticism is deep concerning SLS and Artemis. Pulling for the guys that oh, thanks for the Pentasteel cheese. Big super chats coming in. The Orion and the astronauts that will ride it eventually. SpaceX and the others need to put NASA out of the rocket business. I do agree with you, but at the same time, yeah, I'm pulling for these guys as well. They're working very hard to get this rocket in orbit. I mean, I can't take anything away from them. The problem is in the people who originally designed and built the launch tower. That's where most of these problems are. Things that happened years ago. And you can't hold this current team responsible for that. Matthew, so much. Thanks so much for that generous super chat. My God, mind blowing. Thanks so much. I really do appreciate that. Truly appreciate dissenting views and unvarnished opinions. What proportion of the ongoing SLS program do we see as getting value for taxes already spent versus sunk cost fallacy? Have we already crossed that line? I think we kind of have crossed the line with sunk cost fallacy. Now, I don't know. Once again, if this rocket performs very well, and if Orion performs very well, then I think an argument can still be made for the continued existence of SLS. But, it's still kind of a weak argument, but if this doesn't go well, if it blows up or, we lose it, or, if there are significant issues, then yeah, I would say that we need to stop following, or being engaged in this rabbit hole, chasing down this rabbit hole of sunk cost fallacy, of continuing to just throw good money after bad, as you said. So yeah, I think that almost needs to stop. If this doesn't work out, or indeed if we can't even get it off the pad right now, if it has to go back to the VAB again, I still think that it needs to be canceled. Real fear is if we don't cancel the thing, it will kill astronauts. Yeah, Andrew, that's possible. But I do think that Orion has a very good abort system. Now, if Orion is deeply flawed, then that's scary. That's very scary. Although we'll probably learn as to whether or not Orion is a flawed ship on this flight. Now, a more simplistic version of Orion functioned very well in an orbital test in 2014 when it was launched by a Delta IV Heavy. I actually got to see that Orion capsule. It's actually in one of my videos that I made about the new exhibition at the Cape. Very cool, by the way. Really, really like it. So we'll see, but it's really neat to go see that. I highly recommend it. Anybody who's capable of going to Cape Canaveral and checking that out, that's neat stuff indeed. Grib, thank you so much for your generosity. Once again, guys, I am overwhelmed by your support tonight. You guys are fantastic. We have nearly 300 people watching. Currently in the fueling stage, core stage fueled up, second stage in process. says. They had some leak issues originally. Either the leak is rectified or it's within the safety margins. That's something that they experienced during the most recent fueling test where they still had leaks. They never fully staunched those leaks, but the leak was so minor as to be within within say the safety range. We launched a few space shuttles in the 90s under similar circumstances, so we could still get this thing off the ground under the current conditions. But we will see what ends up happening. What happens when they run out of used space shuttle parts? They are already designing new SRBs. Orbital ATK just tested a new solid rocket booster that they're building at the moment. That seems to be going very well. And Aerojet Rocketdyne is building new RS-25 engines. They are ridiculously, insanely expensive. Those engines, they came under fire. Aerojet Rocketdyne and NASA came under fire because of the extreme expense of those engines. But Aerojet Rocketdyne is manufacturing new RS-25s. So we'll see what ends up happening. Yeah, Paul, Raptors might be a good idea there, but then again, you would have to redesign this whole thing to run off of methalox instead of hydrogen and oxygen. It would be an expensive and involved redesign to put anything other than hydrogen and oxygen engines on them. So that would be a bit of a problem. Don't smoke a cigarette near this thing. Yeah, that would be bad news. That would be a dangerous thing indeed to do. Shetland, hello, Highlander. Really do appreciate that. Where are you in Shetland? I'm curious. I'd really appreciate you tuning in. You live in a very interesting place, let me tell you. A very remote, very isolated, and I mean, a painfully beautiful place. I don't think I've seen a more beautiful place in my life, except maybe Iceland. Iceland's an amazing place too. But I'll tell you, Shetland, my God, one of the most gorgeous things that I've ever seen. And I want to send a shout out thanks to Joel, the video guy. Thank you, Morgan. Really do appreciate that. Jordan's only one, Joel rather, is only one of my video guys. I've also got ASN, who's my producer right now. He handles most of my video work. But yeah, Joel Ryder, he did do a really good job. So if you're ever in London, if you need somebody in London to handle video work, he is a good guy for that. But my producer, I'll tell you, he's done fantastic work for me now for years. And he runs a company called Total Space. And I'll tell you that they do some incredible work and including some professional work recently that I can't even really freely talk about. But really, really cool stuff. So in any event, yeah, I'm lucky to have had some really talented professionals working with me on this channel on a number of occasions. So yeah, ASN definitely couldn't do any of this without him. Definitely could not run this channel without him. And then, like I say, Joel Ryder definitely has been a big help to me for a few videos as well recently. Good people all the way around. I'm very grateful to all of them. The RUD scene from Contact. Yeah, that was spectacular, wasn't it, Michael? It probably looks kind of cheesy these days. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen that movie in God knows how long, but it looked pretty amazing in the theater. Prop load went green complete. Andrew, thank you so much for the update. Man, this is actually starting to go. I'm starting to feel a little kind of like a little tingly, like maybe this is going to happen. Oh my God, this would be an interesting thing indeed if that were to happen. NASA can't hot swap an Ethernet switch. So in any event, let's see what else we got here. Just checking, looking to update the checking the NASA ground systems update real quick. Red crew team successfully remedied the leak, has not recurred. Bad Ethernet switch being replaced now. Okay. Fast fill at 58% of liquid hydrogen filled. Liquid oxygen for both upper and core stage are in stable replenish. Range safety officer reported to NASA, yeah, the bad Ethernet switch. Range reporting said it should take about 70 minutes to do the work. So obviously that's going to eat into the launch window, but not much. I mean, it's well, that was 70 minutes as of 12 minutes ago. So actually, it won't. If they can get that fixed in that amount of time, they'll get it fixed just in time for the launch window. So not as big of an issue there. So yeah, NASA ground systems reporting things are definitely going well as of 5 minutes ago, at least according to NASA ground systems. No issues aside from that Ethernet switch, which they estimate should be fixed in time for the launch window. My God, this is actually moving forward. I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked. Aerospace history in the making. Yeah, it could be. I'm starting to. I'm starting to feel a little bit more cautiously optimistic now. Hmm. This is interesting. I mean, like I said, predictably we had a leak with the ground systems, but it seems that they're able to fix it. So if they don't have any other issues with that, um, then of course, there's a million other things that could still stand in the way of a successful launch. But the big issues have really been this damn leak. I don't think the rocket itself has anything that's going to prevent it from launching. But there could be other systems, obviously, in the launch tower that could go wrong. We haven't gotten this point at all. Launch window opening in 59 minutes, window opening for 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, everything seems to be in place for this to go. We there seems to be no reason as to to suggest as to why this would be held up at this point, at least not incidents or problems that have been spoken about or that have been reported. The only significant issue now has been rectified. The Ethernet switch should be fixed in time. So yeah, it's looking pretty. I don't know. Like I say, I'm feeling very um, cautiously optimistic about this. Interesting stuff indeed. So 296 people currently watching. Thanks very much. Please like, please subscribe. Still trying to get to that 100K and getting very close to 90K. Feels like they will go in about 90 minutes, says Golden Pacific. Yeah, you may very well be right. Red shirts fix the leak. Ethernet swatch will push the launch deeper into the window. Yeah, it will. But at the same time, I think they could probably pull it off. Right now, with everything that they have currently, everything that's developed currently, they could make this happen. Now, obviously things could go wrong between now and then. There are a million other systems with this launch tower that could run into problems, but still, this is interesting. I have to admit, it's gotten a little bit further than I anticipated. I expected a scrub earlier than this. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, let's see what we got here. Power switch. Okay. Uh, 21st on the YouTube search list for Artemis 1. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. That's awesome. Still have a lot of people watching. Really do appreciate that. Still checking in. Spirit the Midbay will take another 10 years to suit up another launch. God, it's hard to say indeed. Thank you so much for subscribing, Chris. Really do appreciate that. Curious as to where we are right now. May as well have a look real quick as to where we stand on the subscriber situation. 89,560. Just to let you know, it's been just a couple of weeks ago. I was at just over 87,000. We've added well over 2,500 new subscribers in a couple of weeks. That's amazing. Really do appreciate that, and welcome to all the new people who have subscribed. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, plenty of time to scrub. There's no question about that. That's, like I say, there's so many things that could still go wrong. But still, as I said, I am cautiously optimistic right now. I think that this could happen. Supex. Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us today. By the way, brother, really do appreciate you being with us today, Supex, along with everybody else, of course. Microwave popcorn. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Mr. Spock's on letter to our communications officer, fixing the Ethernet link. Yes, indeed. If anybody could do it, it would be Uhura, but sadly, we no longer have Nichelle Nichols with us. That was a big loss. Very sad indeed. Very talented lady. So let's see what we got. What do you think about using laser communications between Earth and the Moon since it's tidally locked? Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I think that would be a very, very effective way to communicate between Earth and the Moon. So yeah, I'm definitely all for it. And tidally locked, of course, we maintain constant communications. Obviously, you would need a communications relay. They're showing this to us right now. I think that if that Shackleton crater there, as to where we may put a base, which might very well be inside Shackleton crater. It would be more shielded from the cosmic rays, solar radiation, etc., down in the crater. It would also be very, very, very insanely cold down there. But that would be a good place to put the crater, and I'd rather to put a base. And then obviously you'd need a communications relay. You'd also need to put a solar array up on the rim of the crater. Now, things at the poles get more constant light rather than this varying light depending on the time of the month, but still it's not the perfect position for solar arrays. Really, nuclear power is probably the better solution for a long-term base in Shackleton crater. I think that's probably a better solution. When I think about the Starship static fire that happened a step forward, yes, it is unquestionably, Necron. It's definitely a huge step forward. However, I remain concerned about the lack of a flame trench. As I was mentioning before, I'm not, we saw it. We saw the evidence of it. Concrete, hail coming down immediately afterwards, as was really expertly caught by Lab Padre. They panned the camera down almost as in anticipation that was going to be happening, and we got to see a hammering of concrete rain coming down. So that was definitely not a pleasant thing at all. So yeah, and that's something that needs to be rectified. I still think they need to design it and build a flame trench. Who knows? But I think that's something that they really should consider doing as a flame trench out there. I don't know why they haven't done it. I'm not the expert, so maybe there's ways to accomplish this mission without it. But I think we've seen a very strong indication from this 14-engine test that you kind of need it. Having exposed concrete right underneath those ridiculously powerful engines is not a great solution. You're going to be stirring up a ton of concrete shards that could damage your rocket before it even gets off the pad. I don't know. But once again, they're the experts. I'm not. So we'll see what happens. The new Rolls-Royce nuclear space engine, interesting. Yes, Pippi, it is. I've had an opportunity to talk to Rolls-Royce people about they've had their nuclear thermal engine concepts on display at a lot of these aerospace conventions that I've been to recently, especially the one in Paris. Yeah, they definitely are on the bleeding edge of nuclear propulsion in space and nuclear power in space and nuclear modular nuclear reactors here on Earth. They wouldn't give me an interview because what they're working on is so sensitive, although they are willing to talk to me about it off camera and then allow me to say, according to Rolls-Royce representatives, blah, blah, blah. So apparently I can still do that, and I'm working to see if we can get that. On the rim of Shackleton crater's light 100% of the time. That is true, Mike. That is very true. Not necessarily, since it's polar, it doesn't receive quite the direct sunlight that it does from other locations, but nevertheless, it could be done. if they put it up on the rim of Shackleton Crater and then transmit the energy down into the crater, that would be another way to make that happen. So, who doing selfies? Oh, we got nothing better to do, right? What time is launch? Once again, the launch window opens up in just under an hour. I don't expect the launch to actually happen then, because we've had delays as a result of a hydrogen leak and also an Ethernet switch of some kind being having malfunctioned, needs to be replaced. So a number of things, holding up on that, or holding up the process, but still very excited indeed. Let's see. Am I concerned China's space efforts will advance and become competition for the prime site? Yes, I'm extremely concerned about that, Morgan. I think it's very likely that the People's Republic of China is going to try to get the jump on NASA and establish a territorial claim to the prime real estate on the moon. Now, of course, there's lots of space on the moon, but we don't know exactly where all the water ice is. And if China has a reputation for assuming control of laying claim to territories that don't technically belong to them. They do a lot of that. And I can't anticipate that they wouldn't do it on the moon. We need to get there first. That's a very important thing. But solar panels on tall enough pylons, oversee 24/7 sunshine. Yep, there are many ways to skin this cat. I still think nuclear power is the best way to provide a solid, constant, and considerable amount of power to a lunar base. But yeah, I think we could find a way to skin the cat using solar. That could be, like I say, many solutions indeed. We'll see what ends up happening, but yeah, but it's the fueling process still very much underway, moving forward. Again, I'm feeling a little optimistic about this. This could happen. Wow, wow. I mean, I'm starting to sink in here a little bit. Maybe, we could, if this actually goes and it's successful, that's our first step to going back to the moon in half a century. I don't talk like this much, given all the problems I have with this, way of going back and SLS and everything. But if it does indeed go, and if this is a highly successful test, that is a huge step towards our return to the moon. Wow. Showing us the lunar gateway right now, by the way. China would definitely claim lunar territory. Yes, I do agree. I'm looking forward to some nice video from the moon flyby. Yeah, that would be a cool thing indeed. Yeah, I think is it plugged in? Let's see, just tweeted out a link to this stream on Twitter. Let's get Ingress drop more viewers. Thank you so much, Highlander. Really do appreciate that. Once again, I'm interested as to where you are in Shetland. You may have already told me that, and I just missed the comment. But in any event, obviously there aren't a whole lot of places to be in Shetland, but there are several islands and lots of different places. So we'll see. It's still been 17 minutes since an update from NASA Exploration Ground Systems. Let's check NASA Artemis, see if we got anything new there. No, everything they've done there is an hour old. So NASA Ground Systems remains our best source of information for all of this right now. But all looking very good indeed. Once in space, do we have any live feeds from the mission, or we have to wait to its return? I am almost positive that we're going to have lots of footage of the moon being provided to us on this. I mean, NASA has a PR job to do here amongst many other things, and I'm sure they're going to show us a lot of what's going on. I think it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Like I say, this could be huge. I'm feeling, like I say, a little tinkly right now. Once again, I still am not that optimistic that it's going to go. I still am, still not confident, but still feeling a little optimistic, still feeling like it could happen. And if it does, my God, what a moment that's going to be. What a moment that will be. So I don't know. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. This day I learned the hydrogen sparklers are called H boys. They will now and forever be hot boys. Let's see here. Getting to the stars will involve quantum mechanics. You talk the fabric of the universe to negotiate laws of physics. Yeah, all interstellar travel and that sort of thing. I don't know. I still don't have a great deal of, I still don't have a lot of belief in the whole concept of using warp drive, folding space, manipulating time, that sort of thing, to go faster than light, or at least apparently going faster than light, not actually going faster than light. That's impossible. But yeah, I don't know. I still believe that we are going to be hobbled by the light barrier, and that will restrict our ability to expand throughout the cosmos. I think that's one reason why we don't have aliens visiting us every day, because traveling from star to star is very, very difficult to do. So hard to say. I would hate to see how angry they'd be if they don't launch. Yeah, Supax brother, I'm telling you, I don't know. We'll see. If they don't launch today, I will be. I won't be surprised, but I'll be pissed. No question about that. Um, right link to the Patreon. Yeah, it is. It is, Pippi. It's in the description. All Patreon stuff and my PayPal links, all of that are in the description if you're interested in becoming part of the Angry Astronaut family and Angry Advocate. If you want to go that way through Patreon, or you can hit that join button. Patreon is a little bit better in terms of they don't take as much money as YouTube does from me, but nevertheless, either way, and I would be very happy. And the benefits are the same, regardless of which route you decide to take. We've been closer to relativistic speeds. New pictures of Earth from lunar orbit. Yeah, Silver, you're right about that. That we should get a lot of that kind of stuff. It should be really amazing indeed. Well over 300 people. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Pushing towards that 100K, very close to 90K right now. Very close to getting down that home stretch, heading towards 100,000. As I say, YouTube channels tend to start blowing up when they hit that 100,000, because YouTube starts taking them a lot more seriously. Oh boy, there we go. There's our governmental representative who's supposed to be heading up this project, if I'm remembering correctly, who really hasn't done a whole lot publicly to support this program. Something that we could have had. At least I'm not sure if that's. I was just looking at a tiny little screen there, but I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Baltic Sounds. I'll be watching launches from my kitchen at the end of February. 10% saves 20,000 years off your interstellar travel. Fear is boring. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Great reporting on the UK space industry. Grateful for your knowledge and analysis. Thanks a lot. Really do appreciate that. Fear is boring. God, overwhelming. These massive super chats. Thanks, guys. This is an enormous help, obviously, to my channel, to my ability to keep doing things like I'm doing right now. And as I say, Europe is not the end of what I'm doing. Definitely have, Boca Chica and the orbital launch attempt for Starship. That coming up really soon. Anton Nim, thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Silver, I must agree with you on what you just said there. And by the way, I take no position politically. I'm a neutral dude when we're talking about politics, but I have seen very little leadership there. I mean, we're talking about the vice president, right? The vice president is in the Senate. The vice president casts tie-breaking votes all the time, right? She has connections in the Senate, and she could be aggressively lobbying for Artemis to make sure that this program continues, to make sure that it doesn't collapse. Instead, I haven't seen her do much of anything except photo ops, and really not even a lot of photo ops. Very disappointing. Let's see. NSF Live is so much better to stream than the official NASA stream. Yeah, that is entirely possible. Build model rocket before. Once again, definitely deeply appreciate everybody's generous support. The fueling process now going very smoothly. surprisingly smoothly now. They had a momentary issue with a hydrogen leak, which has now been rectified. And like say, an Ethernet switch that should be repaired in time. Right now, there is nothing stopping NASA from being able to launch within the given window. We are about to, by the way, hit the launch window time frame pretty soon, if I remember correctly. Or geez Louise, I'm not sure exactly what that countdown is. That's not even the window time frame. It's odd. Anyway, doesn't really matter. The official word that we're getting is what matters. Let's again check with NASA ground systems, see if anything is happening there. Nope. Let's check. They got to hold it to 10 minutes. I got you. Yeah. Once you get to a certain point, then you automatically hold at the 10-minute mark. What this means, what this seems to indicate to me, is that we have a rocket that's essentially ready to go. And now they're at a 10-minute hold. I mean, obviously they have the Ethernet switch to replace, but other than that, if you're holding it 10 minutes, which is, I mean, the launch window doesn't start for another 40 minutes or a little bit longer. That being the case, it suggests that the rocket is ready. Wow. I have to admit, I'm starting to feel excited. I don't know. This is starting to get really intense. God, wouldn't this be amazing? Wouldn't this just be a remarkable moment after all of this adversity, after all of this ineptitude, after all of this money, to actually have a successful launch tonight? Wow. I mean, dare we hope that something like that could happen. My God. Um, yeah, and I agree, Supax. Let's go SLS. Um, wow, that's interesting indeed. Everybody needs to follow beer to celebrate. Yes, let's see. Thank you, Zach. Really do appreciate you jumping on board with some more support there. $10 from Australia, joining us at a very different time of day. Obviously, my God, this I have to admit, this is getting a little exciting. This is the furthest that we've gotten in the process. We've never gotten this close to a launch window. They've always scrubbed this thing way before this. So we are getting pretty close. This is interesting. Like I say, I feel I'm a bit tongue tied right now because man, this is suddenly getting exciting. As I say, suddenly getting a bit optimistic. Once again, I don't dare hope too much. I still don't feel that optimistic. I still feel that the odds are against us tonight, but are here in the early morning. But who knows? Who knows? This could be the moment. Going 100% textbook, yeah. For the most part, it is. I mean, we had that brief hydrogen leak, but they fixed it pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. And at this point, if there is a leak, it's within the nominal range. So it doesn't represent a threat. So, wow. Yeah, it's getting exciting indeed. Y'all are up at 5:27 a.m. Yes, indeed, it is 5:27 a.m. here in the United Kingdom. This is definitely a draining process. This is very exhausting. Once again, guys, in the event that this thing does fly, we have over 330 people here, by the way. Thanks so much for joining us. If this thing does indeed fly, I will be at Goonhilly at 3 o'clock UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to report on the tracking of Artemis and the tracking of the cubesats that are being deployed on this mission, lunar cubesats that are on the mission. Very exciting stuff. Goonhilly is responsible for providing the tracking and communication to those. So I'm going to be on the ground, on the front lines with that tracking station as they're handling that aspect of the Artemis mission. Again, to emphasize, Goonhilly is not part of the NASA Deep Space Network. They are a private organization, a private deep space communications and tracking facility. And it's pretty cool what they do out there and what they've accomplished for a very small amount of money to get that place running again. Very cool indeed. Yeah, let's go SLS. Still trying to fix the leak. They will not go too far into launch window. 28 minutes till they resume the count. Hopefully finish the repairs before that. Still trying to fix a leak. Is that right? Now they fueled. I'm curious how bad the leak is. I haven't seen anything from ground systems, but I trust you, Mars Embassy. You know a lot about what's going on. So just checking NASA ground systems again. No updates on the leak from them currently, unless no, everything's NASA ground systems not reporting any problems. But then again, that's on Twitter, so who knows what's really happening. And even if there is a leak, if it's minor, they'll launch anyway. If it's within the safety margins. When am I coming home? Very soon, Robert. Very soon. Don't know exactly when. I'm thinking within the next week to 10 days maximum. So that's when it'll happen. And NASA's nighttime Artemis 1 moon rocket launch will light up Florida's coast. Yeah, Silver, if it goes, this is going to be the most amazing and impressive thing to be seen in Florida's night sky since Saturn V. Yeah. If it goes, it will be amazing indeed. Oh, they were just talking about it. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what how serious it is. But if it were more serious, they would have halted the fueling process. At least that's what they've done every time in the past. So if it does indeed have a leak, it may not be a serious leak. It may just be a leak that is within the safety margins. They may still be able to lift off as they did with a number of shuttle missions in the 90s that were experiencing minor leaks. But again, who knows? But it's intense. What is outside of all right, let's see. Oh yeah, thanks, Anton. Really do appreciate that. That was a fun stream. I'm really grateful to Ellie in Space for inviting me. That was a fantastic conversation that we had. And yeah, it seems that we're going to be doing regular podcasts, she and I now. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that could be a very cool thing. Yeah, car alarms going off. Yeah, Silver, that's going to be a rumbling to to eclipse all other rumblings that have shaken up Titusville and the Cape since, of course, the time of Saturn V. I mean, technically, this has more thrust than Saturn V, so it's going to be even more powerful. So, yeah, if this thing does indeed go, my God, what a thought. And we're really not that far away. We're not that far away at all from the launch window. And like I say, I haven't seen anything. If there is a leak of some kind going on right now, which I think there is, that doesn't suggest that it's a serious enough leak to stop the launch. So once again, checking with NASA ground systems, again, still no updates from them whatsoever to suggest that there are any further problems. Johnny's, thank you so much. Boy, that's very kind of you. The most entertaining space channel. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. And I do intend to keep it up. Really do appreciate your support. Problem with these leaks, it really wrecks the mission. If this works, it's basically because they took a chance. Yep, that's very true. That's very true. But honestly, I don't know if they're going to have a choice in the long run. I do think that this launch tower is so flawed that I don't know if they're ever really going to be able to get it working properly. I think that they may always have leaks. Very hard to say indeed. But yeah, and also those who've been saying that they need to scrap it. If it has to go back to the VAB, it needs to be the last time it goes back. Then you just take it back and decommission it if they have to go through that extreme. But we seem to be getting to the point to where that may not be the case. Again, to give you a quick review for those of you who are not completely familiar with the SLS system, For those of you who don't know a whole lot about it, it has four RS-25 engines as opposed to the shuttle, which had three. It has solid rocket boosters with five segments instead of four, but essentially shuttle technology. All four of these RS-25 engines have been used on previous shuttle missions. Indeed, all four of the engines have at least a few components from the RS-25 engines that were used in the original Columbia launch in 1981. So we are using old school technology. But this is an old school way of going to the moon, no question about that. But not as old school as Saturn V, obviously. And given that it's old school, we really shouldn't have had as many problems as we're having. And we shouldn't have had to spend all this damn money. But that has, it's been the way it's been going. It's been the most problem-ridden thing that NASA has ever tried to build, and with technology that really should be completely understood. So very disappointing indeed. Hello, Yorkshire. Nope, John, you are here in time. Great stuff. So we T minus 29 minutes. My God, yeah. Have a Sam Smith's. Actually, have a few of those in the fridge. I'm definitely a fan of Sam Smith. Good stuff indeed. All right, so what do we got? The SLS upper stage now 58% filled with liquid hydrogen. Core stage liquid hydrogen is in replenish. Liquid oxygen, both in the upper stage and core stage, are in a stable replenish. Thank you, Barry. Really do appreciate that. Everything still seems to be going uh, fairly well. It's encouraging. The shuttle cost more and had more problems. Yeah, Necron, I don't know. Columbia launched with very few problems. It was amazing how I mean, obviously it took a while to develop the thing, but it's also amazing how they managed to get it off the ground. I don't know. I mean, I think probably both of us lived through that period. My uncle was involved in the shuttle program and in the Apollo program. I don't know. I don't remember now. Of course, the shuttle obviously had many issues after that, including some huge tragedies, obviously. But at the same time, Columbia, I was impressed with how swiftly. I mean, they had one abort, and then a couple of days later, it took off. It was just a software patch. I was impressed with how quickly they managed to get Columbia off the ground for its first test. And the test went pretty well. It wasn't completely nominal because they had a loss of heat tiles and such. There was a lot of worry about that, I have to admit. I remember watching that as a kid and was afraid that we were going to have a burn up. But they didn't. Ironically, though, I think that led to a level of overconfidence at NASA, thinking that the shuttle could land no matter what. And that led them to avoid that, or rather, kind of ignore that debris strike with Columbia, or at least underestimate it. Imagine what Elon could have done with that money. Yeah, it's kind of amazing indeed. So yeah, I'm interested in all this. Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, Necron, you got lots of really good points there. It's just it took a lot less time, and from conception to first launch was about a decade, a little bit more for the shuttle. And obviously, this has taken a lot more. Not reusable. There goes billions of dollars. Yep, that's another obviously very good point. Something that really gets frustrating. NASA and hubris seems to go together. Yep, I agree with that as well. So yeah, it's boy, God, we are. So I saw Columbia launch right over my head. Wow, that's a cool experience. Saturn V. I got to see the maiden launch of Challenger, but not the in person, but not the maiden launch of Columbia. When Artemis does launch, it will send the Orion spacecraft on a 25-day journey to the moon and back. Also, the vehicle will deploy 10 small satellites. Yes, Silver. As a matter of fact, I will be going to Goonhilly if it does launch today. I'll be going to Goonhilly at 3 o'clock this afternoon, UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to learn a lot more about these CubeSats because Goonhilly will be providing the communications and tracking for these CubeSats. So make sure you keep your eyes open for something called tracking Artemis, because I believe I'll be at least the only American journalist there. Oh, Michael, thanks. Your dad worked on the Enterprise shuttle test article. I got to see that in person actually when it flew into Colorado Springs when I was a kid. That was an amazing experience. Got to see it riding on the back, the 747. 25 minutes. Wow. I'll tell you, this is starting to get very real. Geez, how's everybody feeling about this? We excited, or are you feeling, are you feeling pessimistic? Maybe we should put a poll up. What do we think now? Is this thing going to launch? And if it does, is it going to blow up, or is this going to be a successful mission? How does everybody feel? If we could have producer throw up a little poll here in a little bit, that would be a neat thing indeed. Apollo 17 live at Kennedy Space Center. Wow, Paul, you got to see some amazing things, definitely. As I said, my uncle worked at NASA throughout the Apollo program and into most of the shuttle program. It was an amazing thing to go out and visit him. I really am blessed to have had a relative that closely engaged in the program. He got to see some amazing stuff, and to a degree, so did I. Jack, thank you so much. Kind of hope this blows up so we can be done with this nonsense. NASA channel is unwatchable. Well, Jack, I suppose it works to my benefit that it is unwatchable because then people watch me. But yeah, their coverage doesn't seem to be all that awesome. More cargo space in the SpaceX cargo capsule. It's not this an option for the astronauts to land horizontally. Let's see what else we got going on. The Enterprise dropped from the 747 at Edwards in the summer of 1977. Boy, that's cool, Mac. That would be an interesting thing to see indeed. Between this, Capstone, and Peregrine, I'm excited for all these moon missions. Yeah, me too, Math Whiz. Peregrine is definitely a very interesting one that's coming up really soon from Astrobotic to begin the process of scouting the lunar surface. That's an interesting thing indeed going on. 23 minutes. Geez, we are pushing forward. We are pushing forward. Is this thing really going to go? My God, I am getting beyond excited. This is very interesting. I'm getting tense. I'm getting tense. Wow. SLS and Orion have faced far too many issues. Would be waiting for it to go boom now. Yep, it may indeed go boom. If it does, that's obviously very bad news for Artemis in general. I don't know if they're gonna, if they will let SpaceX and others pick up the slack, or if they'll just give up on the whole idea of going to the moon. That's what I'm concerned about, and that's why I don't want this thing to blow up. Because I think there's a strong possibility that they'll give up on the idea of going to the moon if that does indeed happen. Undergoing engine chill, says Michael Maxey. How many people who have tuned in? Anybody actually there? That would be interesting if some of you folks are actually on pretty textbook launch, says Arbolo. Yeah, you mentioned that before. That would be interesting indeed. Do you think SpaceX will build a larger fairing for Falcon Heavy to increase its versatility? Morgan, they actually have a contractual obligation to do that from the Space Force. They're supposed to do it. The fact that they haven't done it yet, I think in some ways hurts their competitive ability against ULA and Vulcan, assuming Vulcan flies. If Vulcan doesn't fly at all, then SpaceX has a monopoly and ULA will fold. But if it doesn't, if Vulcan does fly as planned, the much larger fairing on Vulcan will be a competitive edge. versus Falcon Heavy. But we'll see how that goes. Andrew, thank you so much. I agree with Jack. I think this thing RUDs within the first 10 seconds or so, likely with sufficient kaboom that the LS would be irrelevant. SpaceX et al. Don't need NASA to go to the moon. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that incredible amount of generosity. I think from a technical standpoint, they don't need NASA, but I'm not sure from all the other important aspects that they don't need NASA to go to the moon. I think it's still good for them to collaborate with NASA on some of this. I don't think that they have as good of a life support system, for example, as Orion. I don't know if they have. I mean, we'll see what they come up with Starship, but it takes a while to build a good long duration life support system, and I'm still not certain if they actually really have that. Crew Dragon only has a few days worth of endurance on it. Orion, obviously, about a month or so. Let's see. We'll see what ends up happening here. Boom or Zoom, I am here for the show, watching from Ottawa. Thank you, Michael. Really do appreciate that. Testing comlink for the SLS to ensure the Ethernet switch is replaced. Appreciate the update. Wow. Impressive stuff. Once again, I deeply appreciate the enormous amount of generosity here. Pippi, thank you so much. Love the interesting views on the future of space travel. You are the only channel I found that actually talked about other countries' space flight. I hope SpaceX beats ULA. Yeah. Well, I think I hope the two companies just compete, go back and forth. One company winning contracts, other companies winning contracts. That's a good, healthy, competitive environment where everybody's making money and space flight is thriving. When one company dominates, it's never a good thing. Boy, we are getting close. Geez, I know I keep saying things like that, but I am in a state of a bit of astonishment. We have gotten much closer to launch time than I anticipated getting tonight. The one problem with the ground systems seems to have been completely rectified. 19 minutes. So we'll see. I have to admit, I am getting more excited by the moment. Once again, checking, updating with NASA ground systems to see where we are in that phase. Okay, we are planned hold at T-10. This is 14 minutes ago. Currently, the upper stage liquid hydrogen is 78% filled. Core stage has been topped off. Both liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen are 100% filled. The Ethernet switch has been replaced and will be verified. So that's where we are as far as that stage is concerned. Wow. This is getting interesting. Yeah, the angry rant when this goes to pieces is going to be one to remember. Yeah, Andrew. And to be completely honest, I really hope that that's not what actually happens. Oh, and there's all the nations who have signed the Artemis Accords. I think that that's also a very important thing to note is the nations that have not signed the Artemis Accords. And of course, that's cause for concern. The fact that Russia and China have not signed them indicates that they don't like the provisions. I am going to take just a few seconds as we approach the launch window just to crack open a soda, and I will be back in just a couple of minutes. But in any event, just got to keep my throat prepared.
How does this first flight test of SLS compare to other first times, with Shuttle or with Saturn V before that?
Well, I can do even better as a test pilot,
right?
So there's a history there. In fact, the amazing thing about this is so first flight of a first aircraft, you actually taxi it out to the end of the runway and then run down the runway and come back and check all the data. And then you might take off once and go around the pattern and come back and land. This is a little bit like taking off and going to fly a full mission on your very first flight of an aircraft. And so everything has to be right. So this compares it's very similar to the experiences that all new rocket developments have. where, it's not just about learning the hardware, that's a big piece of it, but it's also about gelling that team together and your procedures and how you're going to deal with issues that come up, because they will come up. They always come up.
Exactly. And you have that experience as a test pilot, but also as a former astronaut. In that video, we saw you getting your induction into the Astronaut Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. So what is your perspective, or what advice do you have for the Artemis astronauts, those ones that are going to maybe set foot on the moon?
Oh, well, they don't need my advice. I'd love to elbow them out of the way and go to the moon too. But they are fantastic. I mean, I'm so proud of all of our astronauts. I was just talking to Jessica Watkins, who just came back on Crew 4. This generation is prepared, ready, and excited. And I think they're really excited that we're putting science front and center in the Artemis program too. We're going to learn so much about the solar system from the moon, and even about the Earth. And so I think the astronauts are really excited about doing that hands-on science, and they are ready to go.
Right, I know they're ready to go, and maybe you are as well. But Artemis 1 is just the beginning. Then we have Artemis 2 and on. We're learning so much. What do you think about this just forward movement that we're making right now?
Well, it's really important. This is the Artemis campaign is actually part of a multi-decade effort that we're doing right now, which is really with the goal of creating a blueprint for how we're going to explore with humans and do science throughout the solar system. So we're going to learn through the Artemis campaign on the moon, and then we're going to go demonstrate it on Mars, and then the next destination, who knows where.
Right. I mean, we're going so much further than we ever have before. Pam Melroy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Go Artemis.
Of course, go Artemis. Megan, back to you.
Thank you both for that interview. Now, teams over at NASA's Johnson Space Center are also monitoring today's launch attempt. So why don't we go back over there with Leah?
Hello, everyone. Again, just got back and
Thanks, Megan. And you're right. Teams here in Mission Control Houston continue to monitor today's events. Again, they will really kick into action once we have liftoff, and they'll remain on console all the way through splashdown. But quickly, I have to show you something, a little show and tell. It makes me feel like the coolest kid in school. I've got a moon rock here. I hope you can get a good shot of it. It is from Apollo 15, 1971. And when it was brought back to Earth, it was part of a larger rock. In total, it was 21 pounds. This is, of course, a smaller section of that. But we're looking forward to the Artemis program and being able to go back to the moon so that we can continue to gather these kinds of samples. But this time at the lunar South Pole. We've never been there, and we've never brought samples back from that area. So we're really excited to see what might differ in those samples and the ones that we have here. Now, of course, we've got a whole laboratory of scientists that are able to study all of those samples. We just opened some up for the first time earlier this year, so that we're able to test with new technology everything that we can learn about these samples that we brought back now 50 years ago. So hopefully within the next few years, we're bringing some new ones back to use that same experimental process on and tell us a little bit more about the moon. But just had to show this off. Apollo 15 moon rock. We're looking forward to having some Artemis ones here.
So, I mean, we have a ton of time left in the launch window without any really serious technical issues. Again, as of 2 minutes ago, all of the fueling process seems to be complete without any other significant issues. And that's what's been holding us up the whole time. We're going to see. This, and I say there's millions of other things that could still go wrong with this. You, of course, have the communications between the Orion and the core stage. All the different computers. We have different contractors who have designed all of this stuff. Different computers designed by different people trying to talk to one another during this launch process. That could go wrong. The solid rocket boosters have been stacked far longer than they're supposed to be. That could go wrong. There are so many things that could happen. But, here's the question. Is this, going to be one of the greatest disasters in NASA's history? Or to, quote Apollo 13, is this going to be their finest hour? Wow. What if it was? What if it was? I mean, tell you, if they get this damn thing off the ground in spite of all the issues with that piece of junk tower that they have to deal with, and garbage ground systems and everything that they need to contend with, all of which was designed and completed long before these current crews are trying to make all of this stuff work. They managed to get this thing off the ground, and it actually drives ICPS and Orion safely on their way to the moon. If all of that actually happens, I think an argument can be made for this being their finest hour, at least for a while. But that's a big assumption. That would be almost a miracle. But these things have been known to happen before. Who knows? Like I say, I am very excited. No further updates from NASA ground systems. We still seem to have an optimal situation. I mean, we are getting close. We are getting close. And I can't begin to describe my level of excitement. Do I plan on doing a collaboration? I'm open, Jason, to a collaboration with either of those gentlemen, but neither of them have really expressed a desire. But I'd be more than happy to. Sure, I'd love to do a collaboration with them. Let's see here. Even works great. The thanks of this being canceled. Yeah, it could get canceled later on. There's no question about that. How do I feel with them recycling shuttle parts, especially the boosters? It seems like they still use O-rings. Yeah, but they rectified the problems with the O-rings quite some time ago. Those are a lot more solid. My God, David. My God. Thank you. I'm overwhelmed. What a colossal super chat. Thank you so much. Obviously this will continue coming. This commentary will keep going. The launch poll. Let's take it right now. Let's have three options. One, will it go, will it not go? And the third option being, will it go but not successfully? There's a launch. Okay, we have 60% now saying yes. Okay, so we did do the poll, 60% saying that it will go. Wow. Yeah, once again, I'm overwhelmed, David. Thank you so much for that generous support. I've been getting massive super chats tonight. God, it's unreal. Here in the early morning, it's almost the dawn is about to start coming up here in Cornwall. In the United Kingdom. It's a beautiful place, by the way. This whole area is utterly gorgeous. And if you have over 400 people watching, God, thank you so much. Please please subscribe. Once again, trying so hard to get to that 100K or at least to 90K and really not far off from there. Really am very grateful to everybody who's been subscribing tonight. Right now at 89,569 subscribers, only 431 away from 90,000. That would be, is David a legend? 100% yes, absolutely. David is a legend, and so is everybody else who's been contributing tonight. You're all legends. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. It's amazing. I am over 500 people watching now. Good Lord Almighty. Wow, we have a lot of people tuning in. Once again, with all the new people who've tuned in, let me update you on a situation. We had one brief problem with the ground systems. Again, predictable hydrogen leak. I thought we were going to scrub right off the bat there, but we didn't. They sent out what they call the red team, ground systems red team, who rectified the issue. There was also a problem with an Ethernet switch that apparently has been rectified. So we now, at least currently, as with the information we have available to us, have nothing that's going to stop this rocket from flying. Currently, everything looks nominal. It looks like this thing may indeed be going. And oh my God, I have to admit, I'm getting excited, and I must confess, a little emotional. This could be huge. This could be a huge moment. Like I say, I was just a baby when Apollo 11 set down on the moon. The last time we went to the moon, I was just 3 years old. Yeah, it's very exciting indeed. Yep, hold is being extended, still likely to go. Yeah, that's not surprising at all. Once again, God, well over 400. Alan O'Donnell, thank you so much. Enjoy a good English breakfast when it's all over. You know, something I think I will definitely do that. And once again, to remind everybody who is currently tuned in, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, 10 in the morning US time, or Eastern Standard Time, that is, assuming that everything goes well with this launch, I will be going to Goonhilly Earth Station to film the process of them communicating with and tracking the cubesats that are going to be launched by Artemis. NASA has given this particular mission to Goonhilly Earth Station here in the UK. These are very important probes that are going to be sent out to the moon as part of this overall mission. It's actually one of the most important aspects of the mission is the fact that these things are actually going to be gaining data and information about the moon, of having a variety of different purposes. In any event, I'm going to be at Goonhilly to provide coverage of that particular part of the mission, assuming that this thing actually flies. If it does indeed, that's I'm looking forward to that. Not a whole lot of people are being given access to Goonhilly Earth Station, by the way. I feel very, very privileged and blessed to have been granted that. So my thanks to the folks at Goonhilly Earth Station, who are doing very hard work, by the way. They've been on the line all night. They're preparing for this moment. I've had a whole team of hardworking people here in Cornwall getting ready for that. Yeah, launch on hold, but that's to be expected that we would have that at this point. Mike, thank you so much. Anyone else confused as to why there's a single point of failure Ethernet switch and there's no redundancy? I didn't think of that, but you're right. That makes a lot of sense. Why the hell don't they have redundancy built into that? Didn't Prince William say space is a waste, Aaron? You know what? In many ways, he did. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he said. I think he was talking about space tourism, but still, yeah, I did a video attacking him actually, and his statement. I was not happy about that at all. Brandon, this thing will never fly. Period. End of story. Well, I appreciate your support. All I can say is I hope you're wrong, but yeah, I would say there's a strong possibility of that. And one, the return. Yep, that's very possible. I'll tell you, the folks at the Cape are in for a hell of a show if that happens. And in some ways, I think that's going to be a bit frightening and maybe a bit dangerous for the spectators if this thing were to do a pad airburst the same way that N1 did. If that were to happen, that's going to be very, very bad indeed. Let's hope that that's not what happens. Am I in Reading? No, Paul, I'm in Cornwall. I'm in a small little coastal town, just about 30 minutes away from Newquay, I guess. Have a lovely place here, by the way. I found a ridiculously cheap price, just like $31 a night or something like that for this place. It's unreal. By the way, tentatively planning a meetup here as well at this place because there's room for it. So we'll see what ends up happening that, but everybody stay tuned. Anybody who lives in the Cornwall area or just in the west of England, if you'd like to come, I'd very much like to host something like that. And I'm thinking of doing it this weekend. So I would give you guys a little bit of advance notice on that. That would be a fantastic thing indeed. Detonate right above the tower. Yeah, Andrew, if it does that, that's going to be quite a show to experience. Frightening, I would think, especially, I mean, obviously they're going to need to use the flight termination charges and all that. And that's going to be a hell of an explosion, probably along the lines of N1. I hope you're wrong. I really do. I don't want to see this thing blow up. I really don't, but it could. It very well could. We don't know. Yeah, Paul, damage for 10 miles. Yeah, that's very true. Actually, possibly significantly more than that. It's worth keeping in mind that the cafe pane glass, the big pane glass window on the Star City Cafe was 25 kilometers away from the N1 blast, and it shattered. And just about every other window for at least 10 miles around blew out with the explosion of N1. That will be a hail of glass in a lot of places that we don't need. That's something we really don't need. So I definitely don't want to see a detonation. Have I had a Cornish cream scone? Yes, I have, Highlander. I had one of those many years ago when I first visited this place. I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of it. Even though most people hate British food, I like it. I like steak and kidney pie. Up in Scotland, I like haggis. Love haggis, as a matter of fact. So I'm a fan of most kinds of British food, both Scotland and England. I like a lot of the foods that are made here. Pasties rather. Cornish pasties, so good, so good. Blip Speed, thank you so much. Love the optimism tonight. Thank you, because angry optimism sometimes comes in when something goes right for a change. I'm not going to be negative about that. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, well, they got it done this time. They probably won't do it next time. If they actually do it, then I'm going to give credit where credit is due. It's as simple as that. If they pull this off tonight, that's going to be quite an accomplishment, and can't take anything away from that. So does that mean that SLS is the rocket for the future? No. But is it a rocket that can do the job until Starship is ready to do the job? Yes. And that's something we need to be, to keep in mind. Barry, thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support as well. God, it's just been coming through. Silver says, light this candle. Don't forget the Sasser meat breakfast. Yes, that's something I haven't had. Over 500 people tuned in right now. God, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please please subscribe as we push towards 100,000 subscribers. We're just a few hundred away from 90K, and then we'll be on the home stretch at that point. God, I'm excited about that prospect as well. This rocket sucks. Darren, in a lot of ways, I agree with you. In most ways, I agree with you. It does suck. But if it does the job for now, like I say, Starship isn't not ready to carry humans. It's not going to be ready to carry humans for a while. So this could get the job done for Artemis 1, for Artemis 2, delivering astronauts to lunar orbit. Maybe after that, Starship's ready to do the job. Hard to say, but at the moment, that would be a cool thing indeed. See, A&P's putting study of Newcastle, pull your socks off. I should try that. There are many things I haven't tried, actually. So what else we got? I wish we could rejoin just to boost the sub count. Thank you. Vaude, really do appreciate that. Will I do a meetup in Greenville sometime? Sure, I will. When I come back to Greenville, I'll set up a meetup definitely there. I would love to do that. Actually, I've really been neglectful in not doing that. I always just kind of assumed I didn't have enough viewers in the United States to where there would be a lot in any one given place. But I've discovered since I've come to the UK that there are people who show up no matter where I go. So yeah, I'll definitely have meetups here. This rocket makes I'm sorry, that was just funny. Just use Falcon and Starship. Yep, Darren, that is a good solution, but we don't have it yet. Mike says, if it blows up, do they just shut it down and wait for Starship? Falcon Heavy, they need to drop back and punt essentially and reconsider. I hope it doesn't blow up, and they may cancel the whole damn thing. If it blows up, they may not even give another solution a chance. And that's something I don't like at all. Rodney, thank you so much for the $10 New Zealand. Yeah, that should be enough for a cream scone. Really do appreciate that. Geez, you guys are awesome tonight. Thank you so much for this generous support. It's overwhelming. We are getting so close. So close. God, I'm getting excited about this. Definitely, this is exciting indeed. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the tattoo commitment. Need to get to 100,000 subscribers as well. They have officially missed the original launch time. Yeah, so that's to be expected. But we'll see as to when we're supposed to hit the official launch time. Once again, returning to NASA ground systems. Now in replenish mode on the upper stage in both liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. We remain on hold. That was 4 minutes ago that we got that information. So we'll see what ends up happening, but no scrub. Definitely no scrub. As a matter of fact, launch looking very possible now. Vaught, thank you so much. By my beard, the think tank. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'd love to meet you. I would love to meet you. We'll see what ends up happening, but yeah, I don't know. So far, I mean, we can expect a hold right now as they prepare for the final countdown. A hold is not terribly surprising at this stage, but we'll see. We'll see where we are. But they have a long, only a 69-minute launch window. I thought it was a little longer than that. I thought it was almost 2 hours, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. But I mean, they may not have a ton of time to work with, but at the same time, they still could make this happen. They definitely could make this happen. Another scrub would be very frustrating, obviously. And who knows what's going to happen if they try to do another refueling on this thing. I mean, it's already had so many problems. Paul Reeve, thank you very much for the 4.5 pounds. Really do appreciate that. Say that and cancel propulsive landing for Dragon. Starship would be ready by now. Yeah, that is possible indeed. Okay, update for those of you who just woke up. We are in a hold, but only a hold of I guess the 10-minute point prior to launch. We have officially entered the launch window. But we will see what ends up happening. Mars Embassy is thinking that it's not going to go tonight. Maybe we'll be interested. I'll be interested to see what happens. We are currently in the standard hold that would exist, that 10-minute hold time prior to launch. And all of the issues up to this point seem to have been resolved. They had a brief problem with the mobile launch tower. And they had, a leak again, but they are able to rectify that. Apparently, they had a problem with an Ethernet switch that has now been swapped out. So now we are super close. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Jeez. I'll tell you, this is starting to feel very, very real. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening, but I am feeling more optimistic about this, definitely significantly more optimistic than I was, a couple of hours ago. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. It's very hard to see what ends up happening. Yeah, I believe they've already fixed the bad switch, but once again, it's hard to say for certain what exactly is going on right now. But yeah, it remains within the realm of possibility. NASA Exploration Ground Systems, their latest update was 8 minutes ago, just in a hold, but no indication of any problems. Upper stage liquid hydrogen is now in topping. Range safety officer is testing the flight termination systems. Launch team is determining our new launch time. That's a retweet that we got actually from their ground systems. I mean, obviously we don't have a ton of time to make this happen, but it could happen indeed. I really appreciate everybody watching tonight. God, we're pushing up almost to 600 people currently online. That is amazing indeed. Yeah, SLS definitely a wasteful system. I mean, again, to reiterate my position, this is not the rocket of the future. Most definitely not. But at the same time, this is the only rocket we currently have that will get us to the moon. Starship obviously is the solution for the future, but Starship does not yet exist. Not in terms of it being, they certainly couldn't go to orbit tomorrow. It certainly couldn't go to the moon for a long, long time. We need to master low Earth orbit refueling first. So there's a lot of steps that need to be gone through before we can have a replacement for this thing. So currently, no matter how many problems this damn thing's having, this remains, our only solution, at least for short term, for the short term. But yeah, is it the solution for the long term? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So yeah, very wasteful, very expensive. Not what we want to, see taking care of, handling our moon missions for the future. But at the same time, it's what we're stuck with. And I definitely want it to go tonight. That would be an amazing thing indeed if that were to happen. Falcon Heavy with a full trunk can get to the moon. Yeah, it can. At least officially, it can. What's the best UK dish? Boy, you know something? I love pasties. Yeah, I'm just a huge fan of Cornish pasties. They're so good. I've had them for most meals. Actually, I've made them myself at home. Brandon, thank you so much for the support. What is the difference between the SpaceX spaceship and Artemis 1 and 2? If that's a joke, but if it's a riddle or something like that, I'm not sure. But in any event, to explain the differences, Starship obviously requires an enormous infrastructure in order to reach the moon. That's the one drawback with it. You need to get it into orbit first, obviously, but then you need to have a bunch of refueling missions in order to give it the propellant and the oxidizer, then the oxidizer that it requires in order to get to the gateway, rendezvous, then drop down to the moon, and then return to the gateway, and then proceed back to low Earth orbit in order to be reused. Now, obviously, you don't need to reuse it. You could leave Starship on the moon. They may actually do that for the first 1 or 2 missions, but that's complicated logistics. And, we certainly don't have LEO refueling mastered at all. We've only just barely started to experiment with it. So, with very small amounts of fuel. So to get it up to the point to where we're transferring hundreds of tons worth of fuel in low Earth orbit in a short amount of time, we're not even close to that right now. So that's the problem. That's the drawback that exists with a Starship solution, or indeed almost any solution in getting to the moon other than SLS, with one possible exception, and that is Falcon Heavy, that at least in theory can push Orion all the way to the moon, just barely, but it apparently can. So we'll see what ends up happening. Anchovies. Yes, Morgan. I have anchovies on my pizza pretty regularly, actually. I've got some pretty unique tastes. But yeah, I love anchovies. That's definitely one of my favorite things to put on a pizza. So obviously we are in the launch window right now. Who knows where we are in terms of, let's check with NASA ground systems again, just to see if we have any updates whatsoever. Nothing. Last update we got from them was 13 minutes ago. So, and we don't have no earlier than 1:45 a.m. Well, that's only 1:45 a.m. That's only 30 minutes from now. So in theory, it could happen. In theory, it could still happen. Ian, thank you so much. How much does SLS cost the taxpayer? Probably $25 billion at least. And that doesn't even begin to include all the future costs from the SLS rockets that they've ordered. So yeah, tons of expense, a ridiculously wasteful rocket, no question about that. Paul, thank you so much. Really appreciate the support, and I will indeed continue to be angry. Replenish mode on the upper stage for liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen remain on hold. Yep, NASA Exploration Ground Systems continues to update us. And right now, they seem to be doing a good job. Right now, this seems to be moving forward. In theory, this could launch in less than 30 minutes. Wow. It's very intense indeed. We'll see what happens. I'm still, like I say, only cautiously optimistic now that we are in the launch window, and they haven't started the countdown. As time runs out, we lose the opportunity. They don't know if they have time to do repairs in the window. Yeah. Whatever they theoretically still have to deal with. Gonna have another scrub. Damn it. Let's hope not. Ethernet cables and caulk causing problems. Yeah, it is possible. Let's hope they don't have a damn scrub, but it is very possible. It is very possible. Delayed until 1:55. So at this point now we are 37 minutes out. So yeah, any repairs equals scrub. Yeah, this could be it. God, I hope not, but this could very well be it. This is the furthest we've gotten, obviously, in the process. But another scrub, of course, will be an amazing disappointment. And at that point, obviously, I'll hold off on a video until we know exactly what caused it. What's the most fun launch I've ever watched live? I would say probably the first launch of Falcon Heavy. That was huge. Although I take that back. Maiden launch of Challenger that I got to see in person. That was incredible. That was such an incredible thing. And then the other thing I saw in person, of course, was SN-15 taking off and landing. That was a special experience as well. So yeah, I've gotten to see a fair number of launches in my time. But yeah, I would say that those kind of hold the top point. Challenger in maiden launch of Challenger was just huge, and then SN-15 launching and landing, that also was huge indeed. Launch window becoming lunch window. Yes, they can scrub down to 2.3 seconds before liftoff. NASA wants more money so they can avoid the scrub. Pineapple and black olives on a Hawaiian pizza. That's interesting. I've never tried that. I'll have to give that a shot sometime. Almost 550 people currently watching. Once again, to reiterate, this has gone far further than any previous launch attempt. We're much further along than we were in the past. Waiting for an update. Waiting to see if we're going to get a scrub announcement, or if they are going to or if we're actually going to proceed. Saw Columbia launch the last time. My God, that's just heartbreaking. What an awful event. Embarrassed the rocket sat on the pad for days and weeks. Don't test enough. I'm just checking updates. Nothing further from Exploration Ground Systems. I don't know if they're announcing anything further other than that. Olives must be fresh. Yes, that's definitely the best. Columbia was the best shuttle. She was the Cadillac. Yeah, quite a shuttle, quite a vehicle. Very, very devastating. That mission, that ship was needlessly lost. They certainly could have avoided that. They couldn't have avoided the loss of the shuttle. I don't think there's any way they could have avoided that, but they could have saved the crew if they had just taken the debris strike a little bit more seriously. They definitely could have done that. Those are one of a number, of things in NASA's history. Those are bad moments, obviously. Both Columbia and Challenger completely avoidable. And it just, again, hubris and overconfidence led to those disasters. Is this rocket bigger than Saturn V? Yes, a little bit. It is. It is indeed. Bigger, slightly more powerful. You need that much power, obviously, in order to drive something as heavy as Orion all the way to the moon. Orion is much bigger than Apollo, much heavier than Apollo, especially with the European service module. And it has a much more robust life support system. It's capable of long, sustained missions, much, much longer than any of the, Apollo capsules could. But it can't land. Hold on. Oh, launch window is indeed still 2 hours. Okay, so we still have a 2-hour launch window. I just got an update from Mars Embassy on that. So it is a longer launch window than we were originally thinking, or I was originally informed. So that being the case, we have a little bit more time to get this done. We still have over an hour and a half left in the current launch window. So this is still quite possible. Quite possible indeed. We'll see. But the fact that we are currently in this launch window and it hasn't been scrubbed is definitely a step forward. It's not a big enough step forward, in my opinion, but still it is a step forward. Really, for me, if they got it off the ground right now, that would make up for some of everything that's happened up to this point. But another scrub. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it unacceptable, but I'd call it a very, very significant disappointment. I take it. Boeing wants SLS to blow up insurance payout, and they can wash their hands of this crap. Yeah, that's possible. I wouldn't put that past them at all. I don't know if it's likely, but it could happen. Launch and blow up at 100 meters. That's very bad news for anybody watching this in person if that happens. God, I hope it doesn't. If it pulls an N1 explosion just over the pad, that is not cool at all. That would be a very frightening and possibly dangerous event for anybody watching this. So let's hope that's not the case. Cancel because nobody will be watching. I think we got a lot of people watching. Hell, we got over 650 people watching on this channel. That's incredible. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, please please subscribe. Again, to reiterate where we are, the ground systems had a brief problem with another hydrogen leak, but they rectified it. Very impressive indeed that they managed to get that taken care of. An Ethernet switch of some kind that needed to be swapped out. Right now they're in a hold, but within maybe a half an hour of launch. Did you launch the Estes model rockets as a kid? Yes, I did. Used to really enjoy doing that. I loved Estes model rockets. Cool stuff indeed. Thanks very much. I appreciate all the positive stuff that has been sent. Yeah, that's awesome stuff indeed. We do not want it to blow up this close to the pad. I agree completely. Yeah, it could happen. I'm not saying that it won't. It could very well happen, and it would be utterly devastating. It would be so damaging to everything surrounding it. It would damage a lot of NASA's systems, ground systems, etc. And it would also be potentially very dangerous for spectators. So, definitely don't want an airburst just off the pad or something like that. That would be very, very bad news. And would probably shut down space flight for some time as they investigate this situation. That would probably cause a general shutdown at the Cape as a whole. I would say that they would probably shut down the Cape for a considerable time, which would seriously impact SpaceX's operations. Andrew, thank you so much. If it blows up, I suspect, please use the term rocket dysfunction for your rant as much as possible. A rocketile dysfunction. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate your support. Still over 600 people tuning in. What's the average price of a pint? £4, something like that. Not too bad. It's a really good beer here too. Ridiculously good beer. As a matter of fact, I wasn't drinking beer at all, really. until I came here and started enjoying that again. Space joke. Oh my God. A song. Let's see how. Oh God, you don't want to hear that. Let's see. I don't think I could even do it right now if my throat is messed up as it is. Oh Lord, won't you just fix this hydrogen leak? This ship is a wreck and it reeks of horse feed. This launch tower sucks. Let's see, how should I finish this? This, oh God, I forget. Oh yeah, its launch tower sucks. It was designed by freaks. Oh Lord, won't you just fix this hydrogen leak? Okay, that was bad. Anyway, with a beer cost on Mars, well, it depends on how much it costs them to grow stuff there. But you know, it's certainly doable. Yeah, those launch tower does indeed suck. All right, so let's see. We are sitting at just short about 30 minutes or so, theoretically, away from a launch, at least from our current updates. Let's see here. Still nothing new from NASA's ground systems. Let's check with Artemis just for fun. Yeah, so Artemis, anything new from them? No, nothing. 39 minutes ago, as of 39 minutes ago, still nothing. I want to be positive this rocket looks like me trying to use my 1983 Buick in current time. Yeah. It's certainly not the best. Appreciate it, Keith. Thanks. Oh boy. Okay. So let's see. Still over 500 people tuned in. I scared some people off. It looks like with that song. Not surprising. So I guess we are still kind of holding at the moment. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. We're not. Once again, it's hard to say even for sure why the rocket is currently in hold. I'm glad people enjoyed that. Last was a radar issue. Interesting. So I don't know. Like I say, there are millions of things that could go wrong. Hopefully, we don't have a. An exclusion zone, a violation. That would really suck. NASA's pretty good at keeping it clear, keeping idiots out of that area. But again, you never can tell. Somebody needs to tell them there's oil on the moon. We'll have boots on the moon by Thursday. NASA's ground controllers don't seem to support the angry. Still another leak, and they just don't want to admit it. Yeah, that also could be. That I wouldn't want to admit it after all these issues. Still, no updates whatsoever from NASA ground systems as of 41 minutes ago. That is the last update that we got from NASA's ground systems. That's interesting. That is interesting. Once again, looking at the various retweets that have happened, yeah, we got nothing else. Again, we don't have a scrub, and we don't have any serious reported problems or repair issues. But then again, that doesn't mean that we don't have something going on. There are many things that could be happening right now. So, but yeah, the last update we had from the ground systems was 27 minutes ago. Other than that, God, we'll see. We'll see. It'd be really cool if they were to start taking care of that. Yeah, we are dealing with 70s tech. There is no question about that. Still working a range issue of some kind. Okay, thanks, Hillbilly. I appreciate that. God, that's the last thing we need, isn't it? It's just something as simple as that, sabotaging this launch. Yeah, I really think that NASA desperately wants to get this thing off the pad. We don't want to have to redo this again. I really think that they want to avoid that. So, I think that they are working frantically to try to get this taken care of. And we are, currently still have about an hour and a half left in the launch window. So who knows? Mike, thank you so much. Alice, at least I'm not falling a bowl of chili. Launchheimers with all those scrubs. Yes, launchheimers. I like that. That's definitely a good one. Really do appreciate your support, by the way. Thank you very much. Still working on a still working range issue. Okay, so we will see. We will see what ends up happening. I do not think there's a range issue anymore. I think it's fixed. Okay, so yeah, it's all we know is we're in a hold currently, but there's every reason to believe at this point that this could go forward. It's still very, very intense. Hope it wasn't a cruise ship in the range. Boy, that could be. Would they launch even if they knew there were issues? It depended on what sort of issues. If it's just a minor hydrogen leak within the safety margins, they'll launch under those circumstances. For the most part, they won't launch. Michael Maxey now announced 30 minutes apparently. 30 minutes apparently. That is interesting. Interesting indeed. We'll see what ends up happening. We'll blame on wheels falling off. So yeah, we could have a launch in 30 minutes. One way or another, it has to go. I agree completely. I think that we do need it. It needs to go eventually. It does need to be canceled. Hopefully, in another way, it needs to get rid of it. Anton, thank you so much for being a member for as long as you do. We need a T-shirt like "I survived the SLS launch." Yes, indeed. I will make sure to have something like that designed. Great idea. And yeah, I survived the SLS launch with Angry Astronaut. That would be pretty cool. Still, nearly 500 people tuned in. I really do appreciate that. No cruise ship is communications issues with range. It may have to explode on the pad once again. We are really hoping that it doesn't blow up on the pad. That would be bad news for everybody concerned. It'd be very damaging to the Cape. Would shut down the Cape for a considerable amount of time. It'd be very dangerous to spectators. Let's just hope that doesn't happen, but it could. It could indeed. Antonin, thanks for the fun and the great coverage. Yes, indeed. Morgan, happy to be here. Very happy to be here indeed. So yeah, and it could happen. We could still have a launch died of old age waiting for the SLS launch. Yeah, that sounds like a great title. I like that one. That's a fantastic title. I would love that indeed. Launch imminent, says Saturn V, maybe so. The go, no go has not happened yet, apparently. So once again, we really don't know. Yeah, lack of sleep. Well, yeah, I sure haven't gotten much sleep. And if this does indeed go, I will be at Goonhilly Earth Station once again here in Cornwall, reporting on the state of the CubeSats involved in this mission. And just involved in the tracking and communications with the mission in general. Goonhilly Earth Station will be providing a lot of that, and I will be there at 3 p.m. UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk to the folks who are responsible for maintaining communications with a good portion of this mission. Once again, pardon? Say again. We got a go, no go poll at the moment. Oh my God. Let's see. Are we go for launch? We are waiting for the news. We're waiting for the news. Go or no go? Let's go. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Let's get this damn thing off the ground. Come on, NASA. You can still do this. Boy, I'm tense, I'll tell you. I'm tense. I'm waiting now on the go for launch. We are go for launch. We are go for launch. Holy Mother of God. Holy shit. I am overwhelmed. Oh my Lord. This, geez Louise, we are go. I didn't believe this. I really didn't believe that this would be a possibility. We are now counting down, or we will be counting down soon, to what will either be a colossal disaster or the first step in mankind's return to the moon. Wow. Or another scrub. That could happen too still at this stage. But we have jumped a huge hurdle. We have arrived at a colossal milestone. We are go for launch. I'm in a state of shock. I really didn't think we were going to get this far tonight. I really thought that things would have taken more. This would have been more challenging. This is very impressive. That they've managed to overcome adversity and a hurricane and everything else to get to this point now. I'll tell you, there will be some degree of redemption tonight if they can indeed pull this off. Oh my God. Okay. So tell you guys, God, we're almost, we are right at the edge. We are right at the precipice. I like I say, I'm a bit at a loss for words. Wow, this is such a beware the monolith. Yeah, this is huge. And thank you very much, by the way, to the nearly 500 people who have tuned in currently. Like I say, I did not expect us to be at this point. So now we are just waiting for countdown. And obviously anything could happen. We could 10 minutes. We are at T-minus 10 minutes. This thing is actually going faster than was originally anticipated. 10 minutes and counting. Oh my God. 9:43 and counting. Oh my God. We are actually at this point. This rocket has been in development hell forever. It has been sitting out here at the Cape for a very long time. It had a very successful green run, but ever since that green run, it's been encountering one problem after another. And now we have a lot of questions. Are all of these systems designed by various contractors that need to communicate with one another efficiently? Is all of this going to work as expected, as hoped? Are these solid rocket boosters? Are they going to be able to hold up in spite of the fact that they have been stacked substantially longer than their design limitations? Are there flaws with those? Are they going to be able to perform as the engineers currently expect? Is this rocket actually going to carry out its mission tonight? In a few minutes, we'll know. Unless something goes wrong, unless we have another delay, another scrub. But we may know in a few minutes. Once again, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Once again, just checking in with our current situation. Looking to see if we can get. I'm trying to get that chat back. There we go. All right, 8 minutes. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is just beyond intense. Wow. Yes, we are go for launch. Just to make sure that everybody's clear on that. We are go for launch. It's it's real, guys. T-minus 6 minutes. Oh my God. Is this really going to happen? Once again, it's just unreal. Is all of this really going to hold together? This thing that's been in development hell for so long, that's been sitting out here at the Cape so long, these solid rocket boosters that have been stacked so much longer than they should have been. Is this actually still going to go? will NASA have a massive disaster or their finest hour? In just over 5 minutes, we'll know. Thank you so much, Thing Over the Neck. Really do appreciate your support. Wow. Jeez. God, this is amazing. Once again, I can't actually see the countdown clock for some reason. They don't seem to be showing that on the live stream. Maybe they'll 6 minutes and counting. Yeah, producer, if you could keep me updated. Let's do it by 30-second increments, if you don't mind. Just so we can keep everybody updated on the progress. God, I am just, when this bird lifts off the pad, I want everyone on the stream to just yell, "Stay angry about space." I'm gonna do that when it's clear of the pad and looks like it's heading up. But 40% chance of liftoff. Yeah, maybe so. Thank you. We got it. Oh yeah, I can see it. 6 minute. What is it? I'm sorry, I can't even see it that clearly. 5.5 minutes, I guess, something like that. So yeah, I've got 5 minutes and 30. My God, and we're gonna go full screen here very soon. We will go full screen once we're at the 60-second point, if that's okay with producer. Okay. Yeah, we still want the viewers to see full screen. So, yeah. I don't know. Let's take a quick poll in the time we have left, if possible. Do you guys want to go full screen and not hear me anymore, or do you want to hear me through the entire process? Real quick, let's take a poll on that if we can. 4 minutes. My God. Jeez. We are so close. My God, I'm beside myself. I really just did, like I say, I've said it a million times. I did not expect us to get this far. We are, after all these years, after all this frustration, after all of the money that's been poured into this thing, all of the engineering talent that's gone into this very deeply flawed and overpriced launch system, is it actually going to succeed tonight? We will find out. Want to hear the angry? Got it on TV. Yeah, we'll see. Jeez. Oh my God, we are so close. Oh my God, we are so close. Full screen with the audio. I wish that could be done, but apparently, according to my producer, that cannot be done. If we go full screen, you're going to hear. Okay, we're going to try to see if we can keep my audio. If we go full screen, we're going to get taken. We're going to try to make that happen. So we'll see if we can do that. But I may just need to go. We may just need to go full screen and take me off. Is bird going to fly? I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. I think it very well could. I think we are closer than well, obviously we're closer than we've ever been. But yeah, it's we want to see my reaction. We want to hear you. Says yeah. So I don't know. It looks like we have some mixed feelings, but all right. Looks like we'll be able to keep audio while the rocket launches. Once we go to T-minus 60, we will go to full screen, and apparently you'll still be able to hear me. My God. Wow. Like I say, there's so many unknowns right now, so many things that could still go wrong with this. But at the same time, we will know. It still could scrub, obviously. But if it doesn't, then it is going to be lots of crossed fingers, lots of bated breath, lots of just incredible tension as this thing prepares to take flight. And yeah, it will be a remarkable moment in the history of space flight, if indeed it does fly. Like I say, NASA is on the brink right now of either one of their biggest disasters in their history or their finest hour, one of the two. And these sorts of moments don't come along very often. So if this does indeed happen tonight, if this does launch, cherish this moment, because I'll tell you, these things don't happen very, very often at all. They really don't. They may have seen routine during the time of the shuttle, but this is the moon. This is the moon. 1 minute and 35 seconds and counting. Oh my God. I'm beyond excited. I am still in a state of disbelief that we've gotten this far. It could still very well go into a hold, but
so there is no more hold time available because there's no more margin on the battery.
1 minute,
if we hold,
15.
We'd have to recycle back to T-minus 10 minutes and recharge those batteries.
Oh my God.
The count continues.
You're still going.
A note now, shortly after liftoff.
T-minus 1 minute.
Shortly after liftoff, Mission Control Houston will take control of the rocket.
I know you guys are a lot closer. I know I'm behind. I guess I'll hear if I guess I'll see from the chat as to whether or not did we just go into a hold? No, we didn't. There was a brief loss of feed. That's it. 15 seconds there. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's gonna go. Holy God, 10.
And we are go for ALS.
Ignition sequence start, engine start. Oh my dear God in heaven, it's going. It's going. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Sound suppressor water.
Oh my God. Come on. Come on, baby. Hold together.
And here we
Hold
go.
together.
10. Hydrogen burn off igniters initiated. 7.
Oh
6,
my dear God
5,
in heaven.
4-stage
Holy
engine
shit.
start. 3,
You
2,
beautiful
1.
bastards. You got it off the ground.
And liftoff.
Oh my dear God in
we
heaven.
rise
There
together,
it goes.
Back to
Holy
the moon
shit.
and beyond.
All 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 128 miles per hour. Hearing good control on the roll from teams in Mission Control Houston. All good calls so far. Now 30 seconds into the flight, Artemis 1.
Oh my God.
First milestone will be forward the vehicle.
Look at it go.
Q and
Oh
1
my
minute and 9
God.
seconds into launch.
Look at it go.
This is the greatest period of atmospheric
Excuse me. Oh my God, look at it go. It's just beautiful. Please, come on, keep going, baby. Hold together. Just hold together. Come on. Look at it go. Oh my God, look at it go. I can't even imagine what this looks like in up close and personal. Still ascending, everything looking fantastic, everything looking absolutely fantastic. Throttle up. Look at it go. Past max Q. It's past the point where Challenger encountered its issues. Everything still looking nominal. Almost at MECO. Almost at MECO. I still can't even believe I'm sitting here and watching this. It's just overwhelming after all of this.
We're now 16 miles downrange from the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center, traveling over 2,800 miles per hour.
Holy God.
Booster jettison and shortly thereafter.
I just can't believe this. God, it's amazing. It's just amazing. There go the SRBs. There go the SRBs. Oh my God, that is absolutely fantastic. That is, geez, my God, what an amazing moment. What a stunning moment for the future of spaceflight. Everything I've said over the years about SLS, and now at this moment they have redeemed themselves, at least for the second. God, SRBs detached, everything going flawlessly at this point. So many things that could have gone wrong are now behind us, and everything is just pushing forward. Yes, the 5 segments burn longer than the original 4. Wow, this is truly amazing. This is truly amazing. Yes, we were indeed here for the future. We were unquestionably here for to see the future of spaceflight taking shape. I still maintain my original position that this is not the rocket for the future, but still, I mean, it's doing it. It's doing its job. My God. My God. Just fantastic. Yeah, we're getting CGI, getting animated segments at this point, it appears. That's I guess maybe slightly disappointing. But at the same time, I don't know, they could have had a malfunction on the cameras or something, or they may not have intended to do it that way, although I would have expected them to. I don't know, but still, yeah, quite amazing. That's just an incredibly emotional moment, guys. My Lord, I just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. We're on our way back to the moon. No matter how ugly it may have been, we're on our way back to the moon. So at this point, the after main engine cutoff, the ICPS will orbit the Earth once as they do an assessment of the various technical systems. Then ICPS, having been produced by United Launch Alliance, will conduct a burn which will push Orion towards the moon. And at that stage, also, once they have separation, there will also be these cubesats that will be deployed during that time frame, and those will be tracked by Goon Hilly Earth Station. I'll be there at 3 o'clock this afternoon UK time, 10 a.m. US time, in order to keep track of that and to bring you details on everything that's happening with that. My God, what an astonishing moment for the future of spaceflight. I mean, that was just a crazy impressive takeoff. I mean, that SLS that was just awe-inspiring. That launch was awe-inspiring. And once again, I need to remind ourselves, nothing that powerful has taken off from the Cape ever. But, about on the same level roughly as a Saturn V. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And given the fact that we now live in a day and age where there are billions of camera phones and everything else that if we're recording all of that, we are going to have so many unique perspectives on what this thing, how this thing appeared during the at the moment of launch. So that, no, this doesn't mean there's a tattoo, actually. I didn't make any bets on SLS versus Starship. If I had, I would have won the bet and there would have been no tattoo. No, actually, my bet was based on Vulcan Centaur. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But at the moment, pretty amazing stuff. I'm going to be checking on a couple of other feeds real quick just to keep you guys up to date on everything that's currently happening. Truly astonishing. Truly amazing. We are now almost 7.5 minutes after liftoff. Everything still seems to be optimal. Everything going quite well from everything that I can observe at the moment. Once again, an absolutely astonishing moment, a most impressive liftoff I can't even imagine what that looked like in person. Mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. Yeah, one day maybe I'll see one of those from the Cape, but at the same time, I made my commitment to Britain and all that, and not regretting that at all. Maybe a little bit, because I'm sure that was incredible to see. But at the same time, given the struggle that people have in trying to communicate via live streams at the Cape, given how many other people cram up the internet connections, I think that would be a difficult thing. ICPS has now separated. ICPS is now separated from the booster. So now the RS-25 engines have done their job. The solid rocket boosters have done their job. Now we have the RS-10 on the ICPS, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. This obviously is by its name interim, and so therefore it's only going to be used for a temporary period of time, and then they theoretically will be upgrading to something called the Exploration Upper Stage, or EUS, that will have four engines, and therefore more thrust and the capability of carrying substantially more payload. That is, of course, assuming that SLS is still in use by then, if they actually decide to use an upgraded black version of it. My God, I'm still in a state of shock. I really am. What an amazing moment indeed. I survived SLS. My tax dollars did not. John, thanks so much. Really do appreciate that. There's obviously, we would have liked reusability. There's so many things about this rocket that were wrong. So many things that were wrong. But you know what? Now, in the aftermath of it, now that Orion is on its way to the moon, well, it's in orbit. Yeah. So at this point, guys, like I say, ICPS is going to maintain its one orbit of the Earth that will take roughly about 90 minutes. And then at that point, it will push its way towards the moon. I will be going to Goonhilly Earth Station to report on the state of the CubeSats. They will be communicating with those. I will be there at 3 p.m. UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank all of you very much for joining me for this amazing historic moment, regardless of anything I may have said about this rocket, regardless of whether this is the rocket for the future. This is the rocket of the day. This is the rocket that accomplished what other rockets currently cannot. We are now on our way back to the moon on the shoulders of SLS, and there's no other way to put that. And I have to admit, I could not be more thrilled. So until human beings are actually on either this rocket or some other replacement in the future, and we have astronauts on their way to the moon in a moment that's going to be even more dramatic than this one, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.